Hello and welcome to Infamous MCP, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
This is Zach, go by Nitrozus on Discord.
And CJ, I go by CJ on Discord.
Welcome back to another riveting episode of Infamous. Real quick, just get into currently playing. Has anyone played any games since last week?
I sadly have not.
Zach did.
I did. I played in the tournament. I honestly it feels like that was a few weeks ago. Damn, that was only this past weekend.
I showed up to the tournament, was not allowed to play.
We've specifically said no Brandons allowed.
Mm-hmm.
That's cruel.
I did. We had a tournament last weekend. There was 4 of us. It was Josh and I, and there was 2 other brothers as well.
Tell me you had a brother off.
We did have a brother off. We rather than Josh and I play each other. Yep. Mm-hmm. So Ben and Zach, they were both awesome to play against. I played the new Inhumans. I wanted to see, with all their new special tools, what kind of shenanigan-y stuff they had. Turns out quite a bit. I
would like to input some third-party perspective here. In their first tournament games, Zach introduced them to Inhumans with Quicksilver on an app.
Oh, good.
And I literally walked to the table, I looked down and saw you had Quicksilver, I said, "You're a bastard." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, they don't know what's about to happen.
Well, you're playing Black Bolt 1?
Yeah. I have to do something later.
He's just doing the Quicksilver jank where you get 4 of the 5 extracts and laugh at your opponent.
Mm-hmm. I did not laugh. But yeah, that's what you do.
I legit feel guilty about that being a thing now, by the way. That's 100% my fault.
The thing about both games was, in both of them, obviously that plan worked. Quicksilver grabbed some stuff. But then I realized that Inhumans can really fail on their attacks and don't necessarily have a lot of throws and other stuff. Ben was playing webs, so it was really hard to punch through when I don't really have great attacks anyways. So both games actually came down to me having to use Terrigenesis to daze a model and then steal the extract from them. It worked both times, so best card in the game. So they
100% success rate.
Every single person who heard this podcast just did what we all just did, which is just head shake. Just no.
Like I said, it was their first tournament, at least locally. So, but yeah,
they were great opponents. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they seem like cool guys.
Sounds like you scared them the fuck off. We apologize.
Yeah, they're never coming back.
Yeah, we apologize.
Please come back.
This is exactly what Parker stories are like, by the way, Parker. This is exactly what it's like to experience you explaining how you met new people and killed them.
I can't help it. I play nothing but rakes. I'm Rake City. That's all I do. If honestly, we'll talk about when we get to currently playing. I'm currently playing, but it's just I like playing rakes, and it's hard. It's one of my favorite things to play. Full of rakes.
Okay.
Good.
How was your second game? Anything fun to report?
Zach was really cool. His name was also Zach, so we had a brother off and a Zach off, so that was cool. He
Zach
was playing.
Yeah, he did.
We Zachs together. Yeah. He was playing Midnight.
Directly in the eyes.
He was playing Midnight Suns, and Mummy kind of popped off. I think if I remember right, Mummy did 1 captured soul thing and dazed Black Bolt, so that was pretty bad. But then he had unfortunately lined up 3 people for Black Bolt, so at the top of the round, I had someone play in Homo Supremus to get double attack rerolls, and had him just whisper 3 people at once. So they definitely got a little bit of a baptism by fire of what happens when you daze Black Bolt and also line up for him. But we were playing on Guardian Save Shi'ar Empress. And I think we had 10. I think we were both 5 wide, and we had 8 of the 10 models effectively on one of the Guardian Save, just punching the shit out of each other right there. And then the other side was Man-Thing versus Karnak. And everyone else was just on this one point, and every single activation was pay to flip. And it worked every time. So it was a very back and forth, just brawl. I know my brother walked up and he's like, "Are you guys playing Wedding Party? Like, why is everyone standing on this point?" We're like, "No, that's where all the extracts are, and it's a pay to flip." And so we just had a huge fight over that. So it was very comical back and forth of just every activation was like, get dazed, take an extract, flip the point, push this person. All right, I do the exact same thing back. I daze the model, you just daze, and so we had a very fun back and forth, but it was a really fun time. He had painted all of his models, or was going to paint all of his models, like the Scooby-Doo gang, and he'd painted his range and movement toolers like the Mystery Machine. So it was really cool and really thematic. So it was awesome to see like how his roster was painted up.
Cool.
It is fun.
I got one.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
I love when people do that with themes on their lists and themes with their stuff. It is awesome. I'm doing something like that right now in Judgment, and I really appreciate it when people do things like that. It's awesome. What are you gonna say, Brandon?
Oh, I was just gonna move on. I got one game of Horsemen in this week. I played CJ, I believe, if my memory still serves. Right? We played another Legion of the Damned versus Apocalypse last Thursday.
Yes, I do remember that game.
I managed to pull it out despite trying to lose as hard as humanly possible.
It was a bloodbath.
Yeah. At one point, it became very obvious that CJ was never going to try and kill my Apocalypse. So I decided that if you want something done, you got to do it yourself.
Kill your own Apocalypse.
I collected the cubes, and by the cubes I mean the Legacy Virus, and I assembled the cube, and then he ate it and died. And but I got them sweet victory points, and then realized the round after that CJ had realized I did it a round too early, and CJ was actually gonna outrace me if I let it go. So I had retreated away off the table, basically. We were playing, of course, Intrusions, so you could teleport all over the fucking table. And so I was trying to run away. Through that, I had Wolverine and Psylocke, who were both injured, and they were running away. Luckily, Wolverine survived on one and proceeded to murder face whatever was around him and then run away.
He KO'd Venom and Mephisto? That sounds...
Let's see.
Oh, no. Abominate? Did I bring a bomb? No, I didn't bring a bomb this match.
It wasn't a bomb. It was
Werewolf.
Oh, it was the other Sabretooth, right?
Werewolf.
Oh yeah, it was Werewolf. Yeah. So he KO'd Werewolf, and then he KO'd Mephisto, and then survived Werewolf, and then survived Venom. Like it literally had to be like he had to basically run the entire table. It was crazy.
It was, and I think because all I had left was Dracula and. Mm-hmm. I was like, wow, I could go after Psylocke or I could go after Wolverine, so I think I went after Wolverine. Okay. But either still, that was a lot of fun. I did have fun that game. I was kind of confused because Wolverine walked up. He's like, I'm gonna do everything I can into Venom, and of course Venom lived. Knocked Wolverine out. You're like, fuck this game. my big damage dealer can't fucking kill Venom.
Yeah, Venom had taken some damage. He had 4 remaining health. He was incinerated. And he was standing on a point. So Wolverine wore Best at What I Did with 3 Evo tokens for rerolls. Goes into him. So he has Wilds and crits generate hits. Wilds count as 2, and he has 3 rerolls. Generated 2 hits, fully blocked. And then Venom swung back with We Are Venom, dealt 7, and dazed Wolverine in the middle of his turn. It's like, this is great. Everything's fine.
I'm having fun.
Yeah. This is fun, remember?
Do you remember fun?
Anyway.
I had fun, but then I didn't have fun.
I got him with the super secret play of double move Psylocke, patch up Wolverine.
I did not see that coming either. That's the crazy part. You did that, and I was
saved
just
me the game, too.
Fuck.
I 100% would have lost if I didn't do that.
Yeah. God. But yeah, play the...
Anyways, we had a very silly game in which 2 models were still alive at the end of the game.
Yeah. I think that is the last game I played. I haven't played my TTS game this week, and I'm kind of glad because I have no idea. I think I'm changing rosters. I think I'm done playing Legion of the Lost. I've gotten a lot of fun games out of it, but I don't think that if I keep squeezing that lemon, it's going to produce lemonade. I think it's just giving me lemon juice.
Like I said, I think you should play that Cabal roster I was playing. I think it's a lot of fun.
It's on my docket. I've been looking at Cabal a lot, mostly because I like Dracula and I like Mephisto. But at the same time, there's some older Cabal models I want to play around with some more. I want to play Ulik some. I also want to play Oh my god. Jarvis, answer my question. Cabal models. I kind of want...
Advanced R&D was a pretty big blow to the old Cabal stuff. They kind of relied on it.
Yeah, and Ultron not being able to age anymore is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. The biggest death sentence to any model is me playing it, so it's just guaranteed.
We gotta stop. You gotta lie about who you're playing. All Brandon plays now is Spectacular Spider-Man Wilshick.
All I play, I just have to actually start playing webs and like give in to the hate.
Do it,
and then like they'll get cratered immediately. It's gonna be great.
If you can get all webbed up out of rotation, that'd be pretty sick. I'd be happy with that.
I don't think all webbed up is the problem. All webbed up is just
specifically, and Quentin, if you listen, it's to make you mad, Quentin, so that way you can't use it against me anymore. Because I feel like all my games go super well, and then Quentin is just like he's got this perfect sniper bullet when his all webbed up turn goes off, and I'm just like, well, I had the game up until you have this amazing card that does so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Anybody else have any more games they want to chat about before we move on?
I got no games, but
we cannot have another 2.5 hour episode. We need to keep her moving. Okay, so Parker, you listened to last week's episode. You obviously think we all have donkey brains. So
yeah.
That's what I expected.
Yeah.
So obviously we talked about how we think that these like staple models that are integral to the current meta, or at least stand outside the curve, we think that they might have the ability to prop up lists in a way that we are not utilizing properly. Do you agree with the stuff we talked about last week? Do you disagree?
So there were a few moments of clarity in that episode that I think were really clairvoyant and very, very true. And there was a lot of it that I think was probably just wrong, and I'll give you an example of one I think is very true. I believe it was you actually who made the comment about going out of your way to play a 4-point or plus leader for their leadership, but that model is just an anchor for what you actually want to do with your list. Is a way to feel like you're ice skating uphill. I think that was very clairvoyant. Going, I want to play this leadership, quote unquote. And then, so you're taking this smattering of models, usually the maximum you can outside of your affiliation, to push this leadership to the max. But then you're still taking a 4-pointer or more that's just weighing your list down and not doing what it's supposed to do. I have tried that so many times because I am the player that definitely picks the leadership first and then tries to find ways to make the leadership have great value.
Yeah.
But the leader is a anchor on the list. So that was very clairvoyant. I think it was Josh who was really sure that the way to make a dual affiliation is to make one part of your list good for scenario and another part of your list good for attrition. And like that was like kind of what he tries to do with it, and that's what he feels like he should do with it. He also, ironically, said that he loved the conversation people had with other games about, do you push your list to skew one avenue to 11, or do you have a generalist like he was describing where you can do some of both? I think the answer is always push to 11. I think it's always push to 11. However,
I would like
go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to rebuttal on that if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So I think you are 100% right. That does not work in MCP specifically.
Yes.
And there's some games it does work really well in. I don't think MCP is one of them. I think you are heavily, heavily rewarded for skewing as hard as you can one direction. That's one of the things I don't like about the game.
Right. I think the thing that actually keeps you from being a generalist is the fact that you bring your own crisis cards. The fact that one half of the crisis cards are from your collection means unless you take literally random crises, where some of them are for scenario and some of them are for attrition, and you put both in equal measure into your list just to give the middle finger to your opponent and say, pick reds or blues, motherfucker, I don't care. Like, I'm going to play something random and I can do both. Unless
that just doesn't make sense from a strategy point of view.
Exactly.
Because even if you said, which is what you're pointing at. Even if you said that I'm good at either, like I'm the most well-rounded, you taking middle-of-the-road objectives advantages both types of opponents you will play against.
Yes.
Because the guy who wants minimum scoring is happy you're not playing max scoring, and vice versa. The guy playing scoring team is happy you're not playing the minimum, because you're playing into their strategy either way.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons it doesn't work in MCP. The other reason is they've made it to this way in the game that if you want to win by attrition, you can only do that if you are the absolute apex of what you do. Same for scenario. If you want to win at scenario, you are advantaged to win earlier, not later. And so you must sell out to be as good as you can. Not saying you can't win, but that's why the lists like Spider Foes and Defenders that we kind of saw do a little bit of both for a while, they disappeared almost immediately when we got outside of that fresh meta. Because you can't be in the middle, you get pulled apart by the two skewed lists, which is what you're pointing out.
Yep. And so that was just something that wasn't mentioned in the cast, is that you did mention that skew is better in this game, but I think it's because of the way crises work, and you are rewarded for focusing on either high scoring or low scoring crises. And so and this is my final rebuttal to Josh's idea, which is I'm going to make, in case we flip over some crises that we need to score more, I want to have the ability to switch my list into a scoring mode. I go, then you lost. Because if you brought attrition crises and your opponent brought high scoring crises and you got one of their higher scoring crises, you lost. Because you brought some attrition stuff. Like, they are selling out hard. So that was my rebuttal for it. I think that when you're list building, you can choose to either, design your list with crises, and that's the thing that really works. Is you guys were focusing on models and tactics cards. I think the crises are the absolutely inseparable part of the equation. So I think you build the list to be a low scoring crises. I'm planning on attrition, and then I think you can start your conversation about, let's pick the models in the game that are best at that have, and build an awesome toolbox for winning attrition. That sounds like a cool way to start building a list.
So I totally agree with what you're saying, and I guess in my mind the reason I didn't say it is because I thought it went without saying, that was pretty obvious to people, but the fact that you bring it up means it wasn't. So that was a misjudgment by me. I should have specifically said that when we were talking about these types of lists, that clearly, the missions are, in my opinion, have always been more important than your tactics cards. Like, the first thing you look at should be, after you've got your core, before you even pick the rest of your characters, you should at least have an idea of what your missions are going to look like. And usually for me, I have an idea what my missions are going to look like before I even get to the pick character stage. Because as soon as I settle down on a concept, you should already have an idea of what your missions look like. And if you aren't good at visualizing that in the moment, just be somebody who makes, when you're writing a book, you do revisions and drafts. So it's rough draft first. Here's my 10 characters. Here's my 10 tactics. Here's my 6 missions. Then look at your missions, go back to your characters, and look for things that, don't work together or do work together. Lean into the good ones and start making character revisions to match your missions, or vice versa. And then just keep making revisions until you think it's in a good place.
And based upon my experience of talking to folks, hell, CJ, not 5 minutes ago, said, I've got a bunch of characters in Cabal that I really want to play. He didn't say, I want to play these 3 crises.
Yeah.
He said, I got a bunch of characters I want to play. A lot of people focus on the characters first in this game. Clearly, the designers of the game, in my opinion, wanted us to care a lot about those characters. And so oftentimes we reach for the characters first. And in your podcast last time, you asked everybody there at the end, where should we start with characters? You didn't say where should we start with crises. And you and Zach immediately gravitated to attrition characters, which would play low scores. So not you and Zach, you and Josh. Zach went straight for all the scenario pieces. And so that tells me that, in Zach's mind, if he's going to play this, I would call an all-stars list where you're playing the best versions of that style. If Zach's trying to build an all-stars list, his mind went straight to scenario. And my mind is with you and Josh, which is let's go straight to attrition, because that's the way I like to play more. And CJ went straight to his unused models on his shelf because that's what he wants to try.
I've got a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah. And I hear you, man. That's like that's a real reason to play. But that wasn't the conversation they were having in the cast last time. It was about optimization, not let's play as many as we can.
I would like to take this moment to apologize for everything Josh said last week. Clearly Parker has a problem with it.
We don't endorse anything he says as the official team captain of the Harvesters.
Yeah.
He usually just
I was giving him a lot of jabs at the game store on Thursday. It was almost bad as your convocation list. I was like, hey, Quentin, think of what you think is probably the most ubiquitous power model in the entire game. What is... Like, when somebody picks it, you're like, wow, that's good enough to carry any list. And I was like, would you ever pick Mighty Thor? And he just laughed and turned around and walked away from me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what are you doing, man? It was very funny.
Yeah.
But I know that, like, he has the Mighty Thor blinders on. He can't look at it through anything other than rose-colored glasses.
I've got the Wakanda blinders on all the time, so it's okay.
Exactly. But, like, at least Wakanda models are broken. Like, you got that going for you.
Whoa. Storm's fine, I think.
Storm is a... pushed model.
Storm is still turned up. She still has the cheapest dice buff in the game next to Iron Man. So like that's it's dumb.
I think
she used to have 3 for 2. Now she has 2 for 2.
Doesn't everyone have 2 for 2 now?
No. Only Iron Man.
Usually offensive boosts are 3 costs.
Is it?
Iron Man, King Black Bolt's 2 for 2. Or no, his is.
Iron Man was originally 3. Storm was originally 3.
They both knocked them both
Black
down.
Bolt was originally 3.
They got rid of.
They all used to be 3.
They got rid of Gambits on his new card, didn't they?
I believe it is Human Torch and Pyro both have 3 cost boosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be exclusively 3. Then they added Storm and Iron Man to be 2. I don't know where the other guy you were talking about
Attack
is.
buff.
I've done this. I've looked for this. So I will. Where was I going with this? I was going with. So I think All-Star List is a really cool way to go about it. I think like try and decide like where some of the best models in the game are. But in my opinion, one of the things I think we could try is to consider maybe you don't have to do like a 1-for-1 ratio like this crisis deserves this character, but consider when we're picking not just Nightcrawler is the best model of the game at removing somebody's infinite health, which he probably is. But instead of doing just that, we could think of things like, for example, Sexy Strange is maybe the best character in the game at hammers. Maybe. Probably. Like, debatably.
At this point in the game, he might be.
Right.
Actually, no, they got rid of eyes, so that's probably a no.
That's right.
I even considered playing him without eyes. It's just been ingrained for so long.
Eyes make it so it might be Hulkbuster even. Yeah. Like Hulkbuster might be because he can get both on the first turn.
I would not say so, but sure, he is good at hammers. But I mean, so we're just approaching this differently because when I say that these are the characters I'm thinking of, it's kind of built into my brain that I'm looking at the missions well. Like when I tell you, my opponent's playing Thanos, you already know probably what missions they're playing. Like it's just built into the mix. And like if you were playing cubes, Thanos is terrible. Like nobody's worried about that. You're playing Researcher, Legacy Virus, Hammers when you're playing Thanos, and that's why he's powerful because he's an absolute monster on all 3 of those, and he's almost unstoppable. But when all of a sudden you start playing mission and then on the flip side you got Gamma, Demons, and pick your other blue that you're good at, and he's good at all of those missions, so good at them. And so I think that's built into it. And when we were building the list last week, we were just saying generically important models, and obviously when we start building a roster, we'll look at models that synergize, and so they're doing the same strategy that we're choosing from this pool. It's not just going to be pick strong models at random and build a list with them.
I think pick strong models at random and build a list for them is not nothing. Like it's not a
I think it's fine.
It's not an impossible endeavor.
That's basically what I did. I just was like, I'm going to pick all these good models, and then go, 4 of them are Avengers. Cool.
Yeah,
we can play Avengers.
That is
and we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Just as another point, that is technically what Aaron was doing with his Thanos list, because he was just using Death Degrees leadership with
Right.
That's basically the same.
He's leaning into Desecrate as hard as he can.
Yeah.
So that's like the strategy he did. And that's kind of exactly what we're talking about. And he kind of had like a couple affiliations he could play in there, but Thanos was just so strong he wouldn't bother.
Exactly. You didn't need to play Black Order.
The mock-up that I did was exactly what you're talking about, Zach, only it was Cabal. It's Cabal, but we'll talk about it later, but I made interesting choices about leadership because I was like, I think I was really interested in that concept of if I spend
is this worth me taking a model I don't.
I was going to say what I really want is Sabretooth 1, not a Red Skull. Like I don't need Red Skull. I need Sabretooth 1 because he kills things.
And that's basically what I did at Warfare 2 years ago. Is I just took a pile of Cabal models and said, I just want to play this. I played leaderless 4 rounds in a row, and I was undefeated. And then I played one game that was unaffiliated. I was just like, here's stuff. Fuck it. I'm coming at you.
Yeah.
And then they head capped my guy, and then the list didn't work anymore. Okay. So we've talked about the basic concept, so hopefully you've tuned in last week. If you haven't tuned in last week, I would go listen to that right now because it's not going to make any sense moving forward. So let's start talking about the list of models. I still have the 25 models we pulled up last time. And so now that we've got more people here, I'm going to start reading down the list, and then we can start disqualifying people or maybe adding new people once we're done. So first off, we have Namor. We're going to go points descending. Does anyone think Namor should not be on the list?
He can be on the list.
Yeah, I think we're all good. Yeah. Moving on, Red Skull 2.
He gets to stay.
Oh, Red Skull 2? Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Sorry, for a second there I thought you said 3, and I actually...
No.
Yeah.
I think Red Skull 3 has an argument because he is like a Doctor Strange kit. It has almost no ceiling. Mm-hmm. As long as you have power and intelligent ways to solve problems, he can do almost anything. But he doesn't do it on his own.
Right.
And so I didn't put him on here yet.
Yes.
This is the first one I think we'll probably kick off is Nova. So Nova's big problem is that he's basically Juggernaut without survivability. He's for offense instead. The big thing is if this is an Apex model, in my opinion, because he has almost infinite opportunity of attack. You're never going to be able to deny him the ability to do damage because he's got the I remove negative effects from myself, so he basically ignores all that bullshit. And he has a great attack suite, but he is fairly squishy for an Apex type model, but he's not like a glass cannon. He's 7 with 4s and has rerolls. What do you guys think?
So
I think I'm good to take him off.
The only competition in this slot, I think this is actually a really close race, is King T, right? King T'Challa, I think, also slots into the Nova part. The difference is, I think King T has...
He's dependent on the faction.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think there's plenty of factions that can make use of King T'Challa, but Nova you could pretty much slot wherever you want, and you could see a use for him. Nova is generally just a little bit better than King T'Challa in any faction, but King T is stronger.
I think as a plug and play, he's definitely better, but they're definitely, I would put them in the same category.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm saying.
So how many people think he should be off the list, though? Parker keeps shaking his head, but he won't actually verbalize.
No, I'm staring at him. I'm trying to figure out where this guy is, like, up there with Namor, and I don't think he's there. I don't...
I think he is lower than Namor, and I think he's slightly... The only reason he's on here is because, like, he is better than Red Skull 2 in a vacuum, I think. Because Red Skull 2 has counterplay, Nova has no counterplay. Your opponent doesn't get to decide how Nova works, you get to decide how Nova works.
Yeah, I agree with that, because
And that's kind of a ubiquitous thing amongst these types of models that we'll be talking about. Your opponent can't just stop you, because there is no counterplay, because he makes all the decisions. He counters all your shit. The only question is, did you kill me? If you didn't kill me, I get to do whatever the fuck I want.
I do like, and I agree with this idea that instead of spinning a shake action, which is always a terrible tempo play, he turns it into a movement action is a shake action, plus power, plus dice. Like that is the best move action in the game, right? Nova Force is the best move action in the game.
Yeah.
So that is absolutely something. The only thing I don't like about him is that he doesn't sit models down. He could move once, roll a fair bucket of dice, and do almost nothing. And you're like, cool, that was his turn, moving on to the next turn. Which is the same reason I wouldn't put Juggernaut on this list. because he can be very ineffectual with his 2 actions. So that is why I struggle. But you are right.
Yeah,
in terms of autonomy, he has fantastic autonomy. Yeah.
All right. I think I'm in agreement. Let's go ahead and knock him off the list, because I think while it's fine to add him to a list that's doing these things, he's probably not a leader in the list. Mm-hmm. Although I do think he is really strong. All right, moving on. I think we're going to totally agree on these for a bit. Black Panther 1.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi.
For sure.
Yeah.
Beta Ray Bill.
I don't believe the Bill hype as much anymore, but goddamn it, if I don't lose games because he's on the table, so probably yeah.
Right. He's, it's still the suite of practically unkillable for his point cost, combined with aggressive is just the most frustrating thing ever to deal with. And then if you try to ignore him, he generates enough power to use his abilities very well.
Yeah.
Because at best case scenario, he's going to summon the storm every turn. That's best case scenario. While sitting on a point and holding an extract, and you're like, fuck me. Why is this guy still here?
It's really bizarre that you can spend 4 points to just have an extract holder, and it feels completely that's still value. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like every time somebody spends their 4-pointers activation trying to go pick up an extract, I go, cool, that's probably tempo for me, but not for him, because he keeps, like you said, he keeps generating power and sitting on it. Yeah.
So here's the next step, and this is why he's always going to be on the list. Who's better if you want someone who won't die for 4 points?
Won't die for 4 points.
Someone who doesn't die that costs 4 points.
Right now in this game?
Yeah. There really isn't one. There's some people you could make an argument about, but no one is clearly better.
Dwarf, but it's more just because
the next best,
a few more health.
Yeah. Who's the best 4-point thrower? It's Bill.
Yeah, still.
Yeah.
Still Bill.
I think there's the only...
Because by turn 3, if you don't pick up an extract, he'll be able to throw a size 4 twice. Nobody else does that.
Yeah. I think the one that lives longer is Dynamo, but...
Dynamo doesn't because he's got direct weaknesses. And his DR isn't to a minimum, and so you actually kill him faster with the exact same attacks.
And Dynamo is also slower. I mean, so Dynamo, I think, fits a...
There's actually a lot of reasons Dynamo is worse, but yes.
For that role, I think, you're right. But I think Dynamo used to be in the same kind of position Bill was. If
you're getting into a centerline brawl, Dynamo is a better model. There's no question about that. But for simply surviving... Beta Ray Bill survives better than him.
I think there's also a it's really interesting. I think another model that lives a long time and has amazing throws and positioning is Venom. The problem with Venom is he doesn't get power by himself. So that's the reason why Bill is better.
And he's way squishier than either of them.
I don't know if he's squishier, but he doesn't get
damage
power.
destruction's pretty huge.
He just doesn't get power. If he has power, he never dies. But he doesn't. There's a chance he gets 0 power, where Bill always has power because he must.
I mean, if you play Venom enough, I mean, it's the fear is what keeps him alive.
Yeah.
Like he actually does die. Like if you actually just attack him, he falls down. Like the cost of 5 power for every We Are Venom and the statistical odds of We Are Venom doing more than 2 damage is just not high enough. It doesn't actually keep you alive.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying what's on his card. I'm saying what happens in games. He is very survivable. But
right.
I think the only other fourth that approaches Bill's survivability is Colossus at this point.
I think that's fair.
Colossus.
The problem with him is that a lot of his survivability is on the backside.
Yeah, so he's going to drop
less
the point
ideal.
He's holding, right? But if he gets hold of it,
and so yeah, exactly. Everything you guys are saying, right? So we're looking at Colossus. We're looking at Venom, and we're looking at Crimson Dynamo, or the 3 models we really talked about. None of them throw as well as he does, and none of them have a great range 4 attack like he does. It's like he's already winning against the models we're finding to compete.
Yeah, and
so I think that's why he has to be on the list.
Yeah, Bill was always going to be never a question.
Yeah. Well, I think Parker is right to question it. I just
I think
that he needs to be here. The next model I don't think can be questioned at all. Logan. This model should not exist in the game.
So I think Logan is the best 4-point attrition model in the game still.
Yes.
Right. Now, they did do a lot recently to kind of nerf him. Like, not having exceptional healing.
They nerfed the Tactus cards that made him more broken.
Exactly.
Than
Now
he
he's
was,
like, now he's just as broken.
It's the Thanos nerf.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just fix all the stuff he takes.
Yeah. And I still think he still does his job perfectly well. It's just if you devote enough resources to picking him up, it's just more. There's a better chance of it now. He's still going to make your opponent choose to go kill him, probably, or let him just run back wild over your team.
Yep. Okay. Next up is Spider-Woman. She's fallen out of favor lately, but her kit I think is still incredibly strong. The fact that she has one of the only abilities in the entire game that gives you victory points that doesn't require you to have objective tokens. On top of that, she has the ability to take objective tokens. She has a really strong defensive stat line and special rules. And she just has an all-around good kit.
She is one of those...
Go ahead.
Good.
Good.
I think Spider-Woman is one of the most pushed models in the game from a... what's the way to put it? No flair. Like, she has... It's just like wall color, long move, stealth, martial artist. Like that by itself.
Stop talking already.
That by itself is fantastic. And then you go, wait a minute, she has a position and victory points and a spender that drops opponent's tokens for 3 cost. You're like, what? This thing is so premium. But what she doesn't have is, I moved 4 and get 2 extra dice and lose conditions. Like, there's a bunch of cool shit that some characters do that she doesn't. She doesn't have all the cool shit. She just has one of every good thing, which is still a fantastic. The sum of her parts is amazing.
Yeah, she's basically just a character of all good things. I remember when she first came out, I was like, oh fuck, I don't want to play this character. I hate seeing her across the table because she's one of those characters who's not going to do anything flashy, but just continually do good stuff. And nothing's changed.
She doesn't.
Nothing. I don't know why she's fallen out of favor. It's not like Mystic Attacks and Blow.
Bill became super prevalent, is what kind of pushed her out.
Did she come out after Bill?
Yes.
Same time.
But he became super prevalent.
The Eyes and the Prize stuff started becoming.
They were
super
about
popular.
the same time.
Yeah, that sounds right. I believe it's the same release window because it was like Rhino, Agent Venom, her, Bill, Ulick. It was all the same little.
Yeah, it was that kind of like that 6 months. Yeah, there was a lot of really strong stuff coming out.
A lot of good forwards.
But it's just kind of like the I believe it was the second core set came out. What actually changed? There was a big change that happened right around that time.
Was there?
I don't know that anything changed like necessarily around her though, right? It was like you said, it's just the other models that became prevalent preyed on her a little bit more, and so she just wasn't the best slot.
It was the dynamic update, like the big nerfs came through around that time period. And I don't think it didn't hit her specifically, obviously, but it affected the list that she was in.
Yeah.
Because I remember that's when Black Hat got buffed, which was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
That might have been awesome.
Yeah.
But
she was already in most of the lists that Black Hat was in.
Yeah,
I'm
trying to think of who, like, when Quentin dropped her, I kind of remember. I think it's just because Shang-Chi exists now, that's why.
Yeah,
for right now, there's a reason.
That's why. But
she is.
I'm trying to figure out what.
Right now she's been crept.
Yeah.
She's been crept right now. There's still no model that has her entire kit, though.
Nothing.
Exactly. And that's it for me, is that, like, there's nothing she doesn't do. She doesn't dirt people, but, like, she hits perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. She has a range 3 energy attack that does effects. Like, that's competitive in the entire game.
I do challenge, I think, another character, maybe not as good, but one that could replace her. I think the third Black Widow has a similar kit.
I think she does have a similar kit.
Right.
I think Spider-Woman is objectively better. Unless you need a very specific thing that Black Widow does.
I don't.
Because we talked about this extensively when she first came out, because I was playing Spider-Woman at the time. And we talked about how great it would be to have both of them, but that's 2 4-pointers you can't really afford. Anyway, does anybody think she shouldn't be in here? I think her strongest argument is this is probably the most complete model that we've seen on this entire list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Namor might be the only one that's more complete than her.
Yeah. Namor just feels like her big brother.
Yeah, exactly. It's the 5-point version of Spider-Woman.
Yeah, I don't have any arguments to where you wouldn't bring her. Like, if you had stuff lined up and you're wanting to play scenario, she's probably one of the best, if not the best, 4-point scenario model, because she steals. She's a long mover.
Mm-hmm.
And she's deceptively tanky, so...
Yeah. Stealth plus martial artist has been a popular combo in the game, but it's really good for a reason.
Yeah, I was doing my research. I don't think we got enough Mystic Attackers in this game.
Oh, there's a lot.
There are, but not as
There's
many as you
plenty
think.
that if you want one, you can have.
Yeah,
one.
but like compared to like, there's a lot of room to expand because a lot of Mystic attackers have all the same weakness. I think Psylocke might be the only
That
one
is true.
that isn't like physically frail.
Speaking of,
Hey,
next model up, Psylocke.
Mwah.
So Psylocke is just the inversion of Spider-Woman, right?
Right.
Like
Same
stealth,
kind of kit,
martial
but
artist.
just you get to
Yeah.
boost dice. You just trying to kill something.
Yeah. She's the killer versus the scenario person.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're very similar.
Yeah, same kind of body, right?
Yeah. Okay, so does anybody think Psylocke shouldn't be on here?
That'd be insane. So I think Psylocke is.
I'm glad we're in
Yeah,
agreement.
Psylocke.
Okay, I think she's on the cusp. Like she's on the bottom end of the curve.
Something has to get cut from the list. I agree with you. If I was looking at all the fours in the game that wanted to kill things, she would be probably my fifth choice. But she is part of the elite. She's part of the all-stars for sure.
Because she's got all the tricks that you would want, basically.
Yeah.
The fact that she has theoretically infinite dice mod is pretty cool. She's the only model in the game that has that. You can just spend X power to reroll X. Like, there is no upper limit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'll reroll 8, fuck off. They're like, oh,
yeah,
I didn't expect this.
She's. I don't know. I don't know if who's okay. So Parker, give me besides Logan, give me your other ones that are above Psylocke in the 4th threat range because I'm curious now.
They kill things?
Yeah.
This is my personal opinion.
Of course.
So it's Logan.
Yeah.
I was asking for your public opinion, not your personal.
This is a public podcast.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me turn on the 4th threaders. So I would go Black Panther, Logan, Shang-Chi. Logan, Shang-Chi. I need one more. Nightcrawler. I think all of them.
You would put Shang-Chi above her for damage dealing? Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah, he does more dice.
Does he reroll offensive dice though?
No, but he
So
does. But he uses his power, turns them into effects that are important.
Sure, but I mean, if you're just looking at damage, he's got one more on the base dice, but she's got the psionic enhancement,
TCE.
which gives her reroll builder. Yeah, which is really good, and then she can also just reroll dice on top of that, and she has a better spender for damage dealing purposes. I would actually say she probably out damages him, but it's close. I think it's fair. Yeah. If you think he does more, that's fine. I just think it's a competitive race.
What she does is she kind of has the MODOK effect, which is you don't use her spenders very much. You usually just are using her power to cycle her excellent builders, right?
Yeah.
And so I, generally speaking, not that I don't appreciate that, I just appreciate more somebody like Nightcrawler, who's just be like, oh, that thing, because you guys mentioned it last cast, which I think is important. The point of attrition generally is to convert your days or KO into victory points, right? So that means the model has to die. So I appreciate more, just ever so slightly, I think Psylocke's in an all-star, but ever so slightly, I appreciate a model that can just say, I spend my activation, that thing is going to die, unless, barring some catastrophe. Models like Nightcrawler, for example, could do that. Shang-Chi on his backside really only does that, so on his front side, I agree he's less consistent than Psylocke even at doing that, but
I'll give you that.
Much better spender on Shang-Chi's backside, yeah, of course. Dimmak is crazy.
Just I so rarely see him get to his backside.
It's
like the counterplay is don't daze him. Like Anyway. Okay, so we're all in agreement Psylocke's on the list. Moving on to our first real questionable 4-pointer, Nightcrawler. I'm sure you heard our argument because you said you listened to the podcast. I think it's simply the fact that he is so hard to play against to stop him from doing his thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. To me, he is better than Nova at doing that thing, and he's one less point. Like, if you have enough power or some way to recur power during your turn anyway, like any way to get some power, he's one of the most dangerous models in the game. He is a reason to play cards like Loki's card that gives you dumps a bunch of power onto your model.
Yeah,
like
Trickster's Boon.
Yeah, he is a reason to play cards like that because you're just like, I'm just going to sell out hard for this thing that gives one of my models more power, And guess what? He'll just use that to remove your Dormammu at all, right? Like it's gone.
You just can't play big models against him.
Yeah.
I think he has to be that just because he's so unique in that regard that he can get anywhere and kill anything. And if you get into a spot where you're like, I just need to remove Hulk, and you're like, even if you only have 5 power, it's like, so what, you're getting 2, maybe 3 spenders out of him, likely? Even if you just say the builder's going to do 1 on my activation, it's like, all right, I pay 2 to place, maybe I bump from Midnight Suns, or I Storm Hop, or something, get an extra place in there. Throw in my Teleport Strike, there's another place, and I go in with an 8 dice, spender, and it's just like, okay, I get 2 more of these? It's like, so I'm doing an 8, a 9, a 10, and a 5? It's like, that might just kill you anyway, even if you are Hulk. Like, people act like you need 8 power to do his things. Like, you just go with like 4 or 5 and still do a ton of fucking damage.
Yep. Yes, there are so many ways, and you don't have to have an affiliation to do it, but it helps, and almost every affiliation does help. All the ones that give him power help, all the ones that want his dice help, all of it works.
Yeah.
I'm initially kind of skeptical still on Nightcrawler. I did play him a whole bunch when he came out, and I feel like it really matters if you don't get that very first trigger. He's so dice dependent. It's kind of without a way to fix his dice. There's a lot of times he's going to run up to somebody and have a wet fart into him with Brimstone Blitz, and then he's just kind of caught out in the open.
Can be, but also your opponent has to respect that as well.
Yeah, that's true for a lot of
characters. The issue I had is I just lined up Malekith, and I was like, oh, you have Nightcrawler. It's like, now I have to play assuming you can get it. Yeah. And so I'm playing around, I have to kill Nightcrawler. And so everything I'm doing is centered around your 4-point model that you don't care. Like, you don't have to play as it. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? He becomes rogue. like he's fine. Like, it's so annoying to play against that on the flip side, where it's like, if I put Hulk on the table versus Nightcrawler, you can just 60% chance to win the game when he just solos my 20 health model. And so yeah, that's always the part that freaks me out. All right, so we're moving on. We got 2 more 4-pointers. These are the models I think should be cut from the list, and so we'll see what you guys think. Next up is Rhino. I think there was a while when he was hands down on this list. And the thing that drives me nuts is he hasn't changed, but his tactics card got severely nerfed. What do you guys think? I have had Rhino take over games many times. So many times he just ruins games for me and just destroys my whole fucking team. Which makes no sense because he's got 1 5 dice.
Yeah, his card reads very strangely. You kind of look at this and you go, "What? Yeah. This guy doesn't fucking do anything." And then when you get into the minutia of what he actually does, he is insane. This is such a weird design perspective on how
it's a very it's almost kind of simple too. Like everything on his thing is like, all right, reduce by 1. Okay, you took damage, you get an extra power. Took damage, you get to like doesn't necessarily have anything that's like, oh man, look at you from reading it like that it has some insane interaction, but what he can do on the table is crazy. I think I would agree with Brandon though, like this is a robbery getting changed, and I think like discussion we had about Bill a few minutes ago, like Bill is able to do a lot of the same things that Rhino can, but also just do it better because he can throw people. So I think I would agree that Rhino can.
The thing Rhino does, though, is he takes the fight to your enemy in a way like almost no one else does.
Right.
Yeah.
And the way I play him is it's like a jouster, and so you'll come in from way too far away.
I can smack him and run away.
Hit a bunch of people and end up on the other side of the board, like literally diagonal across the entire table. But when I do that, I do it to where I'm out of position for them to hit me back. And so we just start doing this jousting where you're like basically playing him as cavalry, and you'll come in, daze somebody, and then be too far away to affect, and then you start the next turn and just KO them.
Okay.
And you're like, oh, well, fuck. And so then it's just Rhino is slowly taking apart their weaker team members, while the rest of my team is just holding them strong. And so I really like that play style with him. And I always took robbery, and I usually played it, but so seldom did it actually matter in my games, unless I was playing him in a scenario team as like my random tank.
Yeah, I think the robbery change went from making him splashable in every list to now he's just really good in his affiliations.
Mm-hmm. I think he's very strong, and I think he's like criminally underplayed right now.
Pun intended.
But I don't know if he should be on the list because by losing the value of robbery, it's still there. You can still play it. It's just less valuable.
It's not.
He stopped being a dual threat model, and I think that's what put him to the stratosphere. Is the fact that he's now
that's fair.
less dual threat. He's more dependent on dice. So what do you guys think? Yay or nay?
I think we cut him.
I think we cut him. I like him a lot.
I think he's one of those models that, there's so many models in this game that you say, okay, well, in this scenario, like Guardians, for example, would love a Rhino, right? Somebody who could just go wherever you need him to be, because that's one of the problems is a lot of them are sedentary, and always use that reroll to great effect to get his little generator pumping. There's so many characters in the game that would benefit from him doing his thing. However, he's not an all-star. He's not a model that always does everything that you need him to do. He has that ceiling, which is why he's on that bubble, right? He's really close, but I don't think he's there. And maybe
Rhino's gone.
Maybe somebody could argue, but
I think he's right on the cusp. I think he's just probably on the bottom side now.
Yeah.
Are we just cutting and no replacements can be suggested?
No, we're just going to do cuts first. We're going to confirm the models we have, then suggest new ones.
Yeah, just making sure.
This one, more than likely, is getting cut instantly. Crimson Dynamo. There's nothing wrong with his kit. It's amazing. But due to the current scenario packet, there is not enough formations that synergize with his kit. And I think because of that, he ends up getting cut. His value has dropped dramatically due to the mission change.
100% agree.
Yeah.
If E's come back, or a new mission, the next scenario pack, if they make a close E type map, Crimson Dynamo back in, absolutely.
Parker, do you agree? I know you like your boy.
I love him a lot. I think that you're probably right. He probably feels more like what we were talking about earlier. An anchor model, probably an anchor model now.
Yeah, he can't chase well enough, and he needs the fight to come to him, and you can't force that anymore.
It's much more difficult.
Yeah. Okay, we've done it. We've gotten to the Insano squad of the 3-point fucking
the strongest models in the game.
Yeah, exactly. The things I'm about to say are going to hurt me physically. All right, so Zemo, obvious, best 3 in the game, probably. Instant include.
Yeah.
There's no question.
There's not
the thing.
I was say there's not a squad who can't take Zemo, right? No one's gonna look.
There's no squad not made better by Zemo. He's played in Web Warriors and in attrition breaks.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. He's so good.
We've said this many times. They made Zemo. The only Zemo that could have ever existed is in the starter box because he is so pushed that you're just they never would make Zemo again. The fact they made it, the only way it could be done is in the starter box.
This is one of the first models they came up with. They're this seems fine.
Yeah.
I have a term for this. I call them legacy models. It's and I coined that off of Legacy Magic.
He's the Mox Opal.
You could never print this card again, and you know why. But at the time, the game had not developed itself far enough to understand the value of the mechanics you gave it. Mm-hmm. And so this is the Black Lotus of MCP.
That's such a good acknowledgement.
It is just too good for what you're paying for it. And it is allowed, because you have other things that are stronger now, it's making them even better, and Namor is a perfect example of that. So the next model up that stunned me when I sat and thought about it recently was Deadpool. Is Deadpool the best 3 in the game?
I've had it a few times.
If I had said that before, I would have slapped myself in the face. It's just are you a fucking idiot? But it's you start looking at his card, you're what is not great about this card? His stat line is fine. I mean, obviously 4 health on the front is normally problematic, but obviously he counts as healthy on the back. But we know how important a native reroll is. He has a self-place. He has double attack on 2 of his attacks. His spender is amazing on the backside and fine on the front. He has a almost unique ability to steal power off people. He has healing factor 2, which is amazing. And he has the helmet rule. What the fuck? All these rules on one 3-pointer?
Yeah, it's insane.
So good. Yeah.
I think
the fact that he can turn 1, walk, bang, maybe bang again, place forward, and then it's so
and then
strong.
steal the power that he just gave you.
Well, that'd be too much. Maybe on the next turn, but yes.
Oh, well, he could. I mean,
because if you're placing forward, then you're not
Oh, yeah, I guess bang is just power per damage, or 1 power.
It's a gainer, yeah.
But still,
exactly.
Like, he's got the most shit on his card from any 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. But yeah, if you just move up to a blue and you're like, hi, I'm standing on this blue point on the center line, he's like, cool, I'll walk, shoot you, place on it, I'm contesting, and I got to attack you for free. And you're like, yeah, that's annoying. Mm-hmm. And then you like go to attack him. If you just don't deal 4, he heals basically to full and gets to attack you 2 or 4 times as a 3-pointer. It's so good. And if they do daze you, you're like, fine, I'll have my, 6 health on the back?
Yeah, 6 on the back.
6 health on the back, healing factor 2 with a reroll. Like, that's great.
And a better spender.
Yeah. You just have to, like, the counterproductive part is, like, I can't pick up an extract with him because he's so easy to daze on the front side. And so he's got some play with it, but you can also just set him on the back point and hold an objective and shoot people. And it's fine. You walk forward, shoot them back up.
Yeah, he feels completely fine just using his gun. Like, it's a great attack.
He's one of the best, he's one of the most efficient closers in the game for the cost. He is amazing in the late game when opponents, he's had time to just sit there and shoot a little bit, and your opponent doesn't have overwhelming force and multiple activations to devote to him. Mm-hmm. When you only get to attack him once or twice, and he just starts healing too much, and he dishes out too much consistent damage.
The rerolls really add up.
I have closed out so many games with Deadpool because when I see Deadpool across from me, I prioritize him in the early game. I did it against you, Zach. You remember that when you played Deadpool with your Weapon X list?
You dazed him and then immediately killed him.
Yeah, I immediately killed him because I was like, if this guy lives into the end game, I'm going to start losing. That's how strong this model is in the late game. So I agree that he's an amazing closer. He is a sleeper. People do not realize how strong he is. He's
so strong late game.
He's a personal all-star for me. I have put him in all of my Daredevil criminal lists, all of my X-Force lists, all of my Avengers lists have always featured him. So I play him often. So he is one of my all-stars. If you said he's on the all-stars list, I would not disagree. There's something else he does, by the way.
Oh, we got to keep going. We're running out of time.
Go. Yeah.
We for a model we agree on. We can't keep talking.
He's ubiquitous with damage dealing stuff that does damage to you. You're awesome to send him Deadpool at it.
Yeah. Next up is Black Cat. I think everyone agrees this model has to be included in the best models. Obviously for different reasons than other models we've named, but pretty obvious.
Move forward.
Next up, first real question mark is Captain Sam. Think this model, if anyone just sits down and read it and you just said, oh, this is the 3-pointer, and you read his card, you'd be like, what the fuck were they thinking? Yeah. But you never see him splash.
Which is insane.
Ever. Which is crazy.
So I feel like
because there's so many affiliations.
Go ahead.
Do what?
I was cutting you off.
There's so many affiliations that makes this guy absolutely nuts. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I feel like his only struggle is sometimes the consistency that he'll have because he doesn't have like a lot of dice mods. And so that if he's not pushing the damage through, then he's not, pushing people off. And so, like, that's why I could see him not being everywhere. But he does have a kit that just can do everything and is relatively, self-sufficient, even if he's not doing damage for, like, it being a gainer with ricochet, charge, airlift, etc. Like, he doesn't really need anybody else around him or any sort of help to have the power to do what he wants. It's just about are you going to get to push someone, or did you just throw 4 dice at him and you got a power out of it, sort of thing.
Yeah. The fact, though, that he's adding the push mechanic to it is so crazy.
Like, he's...
Range 4, ignore line of sight pushing is not
with the ricochet.
Not to mention, the ricochet, it's range 7. Like, it's so stupid.
How is he the only one with a shield throw that pushes? Why did... What? None of the other captains...
Because they wanted to give him something Cap didn't have,
The non-super soldier one.
Yeah, the normal human guy gets to do the thing that I wish my Captain Americas could do. I'm not saying he's not my Captain America, but...
Was also so often the Sam players protect him because the leadership's pretty important.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, when you don't care if he dies, he becomes insane. Like, oh, he's got, like, 8 power because he's been throwing his shield everywhere. You're like, cool. Airlift, charge, spender. You're like, holy
Go away, Sam! Block.
Because now you're moving along plus a base, plus range 4, plus a base, plus range 3. His double tap range is potentially the entire fucking table.
Yeah, the threat.
I don't know how this model isn't played more than he already is.
Crazy.
Anybody disagree?
I think he's out of all the things we've talked about, I think he's one of the biggest sleeper hits.
What's funny is that everybody is so terrified of him whenever you see Avengers, but you're right. Nobody thinks about putting him anywhere else when there's no reason. The part that makes him terrifying is not the leadership. The part that makes him terrifying is the
kit. Yeah,
is the kit. Yeah.
So the first time I ever played against Splash Sam was against Inhumans in Omaha. It was Jeremy, their local, and he was so stupid when you could just get him to do whatever he wants every turn. You're like, do you want him to airlift charge on the first turn? Sure, do that. And he's like airlifting Black Bolt. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh,
that sounds like a bad time.
It was so stupid. Yeah, it was so stupid. And you could do really dumb stuff. Like, let's say you activate Lockjaw. You port Black Bolt forward. Sam move charges and airlifts him forward. And you're like, what? You're like, so you double place Black Bolt. He's literally on the center line before he activates. You're like, oh my god, bro, please stop. It was great. Okay, next up is Miles Morales. This was the original Splash 3, if people don't remember. When this guy came out, he was literally in every single roster because he was absolutely insane. The fact that he had spider senses for 3 points was a game breaker. But now, obviously, the game has changed a lot. I personally don't like Miles as a Splash model because I think he is wildly inconsistent without support. And so what you were talking about with Sam, where it's like he's just got the 4 dice. It's like often you turn 2 web swing kick and I get 0 damage and he just dies because he has no power. He can't get out. He can't defend himself. You don't have the tactics card backup and he just dies. Now, obviously, it's less important if random 3-pointer dies in a Splash, but that's been my experience. And I know that it's not a fair experience.
I agree. I think that's the exact same experience I've had when I've taken him outside of Web Warriors, is that you don't realize how much that leadership kind of fixes him.
Yeah, the reroll skulls is so big.
Insane.
When you're just like, oh, you got skulls, so now you're only rerolling 1 die, and you're like, oh, so I block 1 skull, reroll 1, still block 1, take 4, and you're like, shit.
You're like, oh, that's not good.
Does anybody think he shouldn't be on the list?
Yeah, I think he's a 3 we can cut.
Okay.
As a Splash, yeah. I would agree. I mean, I think for the same thing you said. Like, he can be really inconsistent. If it's not in webs, if my opponent puts it down, like the vein I've had in these models, like, my opponent puts it down, do I have to deal with each one of these? And he's one of the few where I'm like, I don't feel like I don't need... If I don't go into him and he biffs the first attack roll, he's not going to do anything the whole game. And I can safely ignore him, I feel like.
So... just to be clear, because I think I oversold it, I think he should be on the list, but he's he's on the lower end. It's just I'm saying like he's not an all-star for me, but he still makes the list for me because it's like Spider-Woman. He does everything. He can fight for a 3-pointer. He does survive as a 3-pointer. He can steal as a 3-pointer. He is mobile. He has stealth. He has resistance to damage. You can't give him anything else. He has too much already. And so because of that, because he's literally all-encompassing, I think he has to be on the list. I just personally would not splash him.
That's fair.
He's absolutely an all-star. He has a character throw on his builder that he can buff while he's moving, and then a spender, which makes people drop things. Then you listed all the other stuff. Like, just that kit alone. You absolutely.
Okay. So we're 2-2. I'm going to leave him on the list. Next up is Ghost Spider, the dreaded Ghost Spider. I don't know how she can't be. Like, the fact that this model exists dramatically reduces the play of her alter ego. Like,
yeah,
it's so stupid. Like, Gwen would see more play if this model didn't exist.
Yeah, if it was like Gwen Stacy.
Mm-hmm. I wish this model was not as good as she actually is, because one time I started to play her out of affiliation, I was like, well, Webline isn't really doing anything this game as much. Lifesaver wasn't really useful. This model's within range too. What happens if I just, hit it?
Murder you?
Bap, bap, and it just died. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I did just roll a fuckload of dice.
Yeah.
Like, Okay.
You all webbed up, and that's all of a sudden spender builder 17 dice or whatever the fuck you just rolled. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, this is... or one game when I moved long, did an attack, did like 2 damage, and then moved long again. I think I healed twice with Extremis while I was doing that. It was so fucking dumb.
Yeah, brutal.
Like, yeah, there's...
Her kit is so strong.
Yeah.
And because it has to be, because her stat line is not helping. She has maybe the worst stat line in the game outside of her movement, and it is crazy how strong she is.
She's really good offensively, and then she's the best supporting 3, I think.
She is the best generalist 3, I'll say.
Yeah,
that.
she's got the best, like, she's got a good...
She's got support, she's got damage, she's got mobility, she's got board control, she's got everything but survivability.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're all in agreement, so we're going to move on. X-23, probably the highest damage of any 3-pointer.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah, so auto in, we're moving on.
Not close.
Yeah. The final 3 on the list, and this is kind of one of those legacy model situations that, like, you just can't have this combination of effects anymore. Shuri. And I know that she's not popular, but this model, I think, is massively slept on, specifically in our current meta. Range 5 auto push guns that generate power. She has a great spender, single wild stagger, auto stun, 7 dice. Then the fact that she has upgrades, she can make people reroll at range 4, is incredibly good. Throw, scientific genius on top of it.
No complaints from me.
Okay.
I
assumed I was going to get a lot of pushback.
She's probably... Go ahead.
I think that she doesn't slot in. I don't think she does. She's more of a problem solver. Like, if you had an issue, I don't think she generally just slots in. She's really squishy, which is a lot of 3s are. But, like, she doesn't really. Mm-hmm. The only thing she's really bringing is the push, and then maybe some rerolls every once in a while, right?
I think the fact that you just have auto pushing attacks at range 5 cannot be understated.
True, but I gotta look, because I'm not sure if his is auto push or not. Is Iron Man's auto push?
No,
it's not. It's wild. It's only range 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I do see the value of her. It's just I think
Iron Man is a more well-rounded model for sure. And I would even argue in a vacuum, he's probably a stronger model.
Yeah.
But the issue is, like, nobody else brings this level of, like, board control and support. And if you guys don't think that's enough to get her on the list, I'm fine with that. I'm just making my argument.
I think I would agree with you of the board control and the support of, like, whatever if you're playing attrition, maybe she herself during her turn is not necessarily doing that, but she's contributing to it in other ways. Obviously I've played her a lot, and I've used her I'm going to use her to break up a bodyguard bubble or push off a taunter or something. And it's like, so even if she's not doing the damage, knowing you have that guaranteed push is then helping someone else then do that damage, and then re-rolling for them so they get to kill that model. And so, whatever your game plan is, I think she can help support that.
I think the biggest argument is that nowadays you don't see nearly as many models that don't have proactive movement. So, like, aggressive kind of cancels this out, which is pretty common. But also, most models, like Deadpool's perfect example, every competitive meta model now has either charge or place 2. And that's a perfect example of, like, a model has been passed by the meta. And so, if you guys want to say she's not on there for that reason, I'm fine with that.
Sorry, go ahead. You go ahead, Parker.
I was going to say that I think she's absolutely is for this reason. She is, to me, the best model of the game at standing on the back point. Like, whatever orientation your map is, she is the best one. She's the best one on a B. She's the best one on the I, the one side.
Yeah.
She is the best model in the game at, I'm going to stand at this point and continue capturing and contribute to the game in an incredibly important way. There are so few models of the game that can convert actions to importance like she can, by having the push in her back pocket, and then any skulls and any power she's getting, she's converting into dice for her friendlies, and they are she's a force multiplier beyond that point that she's taking way back there, right? So your models that are forward and engaging and needing those important dice are getting them from her. So that, I think, is the reason why she is still the best model in the back. The only other possible one could be Rocket, but that's only because he's 2 less points. But you lose so much utility to play him.
Yeah. All right, so we got to move on. So it sounds like we're 3-1 on Shuri, yes. So we'll leave her on the list for now. Moving into the 2-pointers, I'm just going to run through these, and I'm not really going to... I don't really consider these as part of the list. I just think we need to talk about them real quick as like their value so we can move on. Bullseye is just all around the best kit for any 2-pointer. He does so many different things, and he's got a 3-pointer character sheet, basically. He just has 2-pointer stats. Right? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. He has the skills of a 3-point model, but he has the stats of a 2-point model. Toad is the opposite. He has the skills of a 2-pointer, but the stats of a 3-pointer, which is why he's valuable. Wong, simply far and away the best support model for 2 points that you could ever even get. Rocket Raccoon, far and away the best damage output of any 2-pointer. It's not even close. And then finally, Bob, a truly unique ability that people underestimate, I believe. The fact that he gives you an extra activation that you can pseudo pass with or just contest points and force your opponent to continue to deal with you. It's kind of like the Deadpool problem. It's like, I'm going to put this guy on this point. Are you going to devote one of your 4-pointers that you have to fight Bob for the rest of the game? Or is Bob going to score 2 points for the rest of the game? It's your choice. And it's really not a choice they want to make. Not to mention he can sometimes just point and click remove people, which is pretty funny. Yep. Okay, so those are my 2s. We're just going to go back to the top now.
I was going to say, I hard disagree with Rocket. I think it should be Nebula. Rocket can stay on the list, but I think Nebula is the model of the game.
Nebula others. Not contesting, I think, makes her not in the list. Now, if you were building an attrition list, obviously she shoots to the top immediately.
Right.
But in our current meta, non-contesting models are such a negative detractor from lists that you have to consider that.
Sure.
Not to mention, Rocket is actually on here, like, partially for his damage, but it's the combination that he is dramatically underestimated on how hard he is to kill. The fact that he's size 1 and can hide behind size 2 terrain, the auto cover ends up being better than defense dice way more often than not. Mm-hmm. He is actually one of the more survivable 2-pointers, which is really dumb because he's supposed to be the weakest.
Right.
The immune to collisions is so fucking dumb. It just removes so many plays from your opportunity list. Like, you can't double move throw to get rid of him. Like, it just doesn't work. And so that's that whole thing. Like, the combination. He's the best attrition 3, and it's not close, or 2, and it's not close. So now, what do you guys think we should add to this list? Hopefully you've come up with some models in the meantime.
I have a few suggestions.
Go ahead.
So I'm just going to kind of go through and do one of each point value, I think.
Sure.
Right?
However you
like that's fine. If that's cool. I'll try to go through it really quick.
Hit me.
Get a yay or nay. In the 5-threat range, I kind of think that if you're looking at a model that just does good stuff and you need it, then you can kind of slot into a lot of stuff. Ghost Rider, I still think is really good. Going into 4s.
Let's do him real quick. Yeah. So Ghost Rider, I 100% agree that he has an amazing kit that is really underestimated. I think the fact that is it Deal with the Devil? Is it still legal?
It is.
Right? Yeah. That's a big part of it. The fact that he synergizes with a wide list is kind of unique to his kit, which is really nice. I would not put him here, but I think he's close. The problem is I don't think that he has the ability to do sustained damage. Like, he's really good about walking up and nuking somebody with Penance Stare, but outside of that, like, 8 power cost to do that, he doesn't do much on average turns. So that's my opinion. But I love Ghost Rider more than most people do.
I think
Parker,
if I could also just add one little divot to one of the reasons. I think the other thing that we're really misjudging referring to this current combination of crisis is anybody who's got move tech is huge in being able to work on the pay to flips and any of the others, because Hell on Wheels is a long move on the biggest base possible.
Yeah.
He is fast. And I think that actually is one of the reasons why I'd include him, is over actually any of his other stuff.
I love his movement ability. The fact that it costs 3 is a little harsh, but if he didn't have that, he wouldn't be good at all. I love Ghost Rider, like I said. I play him whenever I can justify it. Parker, what do you think? I know you like Ghost Rider.
I love Ghost Rider. He is one of my personal all-stars. I put him into so many lists he doesn't belong in. I love the ability to say, kill my whole list and then Ghost Rider, because that's what you need to do, because I played this tactics card. I have won games because Ghost Rider got killed first and he didn't actually die. Something else died. I famously killed a full health Ronin on like turn 3 just so I could bring Ghost Rider back, and it was the right decision. So Ghost Rider is that good. Does he become? I don't know if he belongs.
Staple models.
Yeah, I don't know if he belongs in this echelon, and the only reason why is that I think you need to fix his dice somehow. I think.
Yeah, I don't think he can do it by himself.
I think he needs that. And so every affiliation I've ever played him with that had the ability to do that, he was just an absolute monster. But without that, I don't think he stands up.
I think there's 3-pointers on this list we have here that outdamage him.
Oh, absolutely.
Outside of Penance Stare, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think he competes at the damage point, but really what you're paying for is like the prolonged benefit of the entire game.
Yeah, the fact that
I like him a lot, but
yeah,
I don't think he's quite there. I think he's kind of like Crimson Dynamo. I just don't think the meta is right for him. But I love the model. Zach, do you have thoughts before we move on?
Not really anything additional, Ed. I mean, I think you guys covered it. So,
what is next,
All
CJ?
right, so Wrecking Crew.
Ooh.
I don't know enough about them. I'm gonna have to read them real quick. Go ahead.
Wrecking Crew
Sell me.
has not only I think they're one of the most fun 4-pointers ever played. I think they bring crazy amounts of utility to what they have 2 really good tactic cards. They've got they can attack 3 times. They got movement. They got all kinds of shenanigans and stuff. The attack suite's awesome. And I think that you could bring them into most scenarios, and they do good on scenario, and they can do great damage. They've got the only Mystic Beam in the game as well, so.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely have a kit that, like we've talked about with some of these others, they don't need a lot of support from other models. You know, they probably could use some dice fixing help, but as far as generating power to be able to do their full kit, to make 3 attacks, to be able to, you know, maybe pull off the full Monty if you do the attacks in the right order, they definitely don't need any help to do that. Like they can generate all the power that they need to do it
Power's
themselves.
easy. They could Wrecking Bar Fling twice, and if you line
That's
up
what I mean.
2
Like,
characters, you get 4
they
power.
generate a lot.
Yeah.
So the first turn play is you walk, Wrecking Bar Fling, and then take him down?
Yeah.
Is that like the turn 1 play?
Typically, yeah.
But then your other attacks only range 3. You probably
or
get
you
there if they
walk
move
Wrecking
to the middle.
Bar Bulldoze if you want to get on a point.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I'd just be worried without the right leadership, you would they would really not excel as much as they would normally do.
Yeah, it's not a big dice
interesting.
pool, so it's just like a volume of attacks over time.
I think that there's not, but the other issue they have is you can do the dice fixing leaderships, but I don't think that really they don't get more power for dice fixing. The only attack they get that does.
Yeah, they only have 2 gainers. Yeah.
So, dice fixing helps everyone as well. So, but that's fine. Like I said, these are just my suggestions. These are guys I've brought into a lot of games that I feel like have a lot of utility. And then for my 3-pointer, Spectacular Spider-Man.
I really thought about him. I just think he's too power hungry on his own. But what do you guys think?
I think he's basically, if you thought 4-threat Peter is really, really good, this is 3-threat Peter. He does the exact same thing. But now he's a point cheaper.
I think you can plan his turns out essentially, like, very effectively with double gainers, impact webbing. So I agree with you, Brandon. Like, there's times he's not going to have power to necessarily do everything. But he still might have a turn that's like double impact webbing plus proportionate strength, and that's a huge turn, and he's survivable through attacks. And I think he's got flexibility, but I would not argue that he struggles with power generation.
I wonder if you could play him with Red Skull 1.
Just hope to double up on it.
Yeah,
Get 2 power
worst case scenario. Yeah, it's like, I just generate 4 power by double impact webbing, and you're like, oh, well, that's a lot. And then you're like, yeah, then I web slinger away, and you're like, okay, that's cool. Next turn, you web slinger in, do it again, and then you proportion strength or spider, throw them away, and you're like, huh.
Stop,
like, how do I
Peter!
deal with this? Or you just start punching them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like 5 dice.
He's got a move. Yeah, he's got an elusive trigger.
Likely to do damage. Yeah,
bad.
place 3. Yeah.
I like.
Okay. I do like him. Do you guys think he gets the list with the other 3s?
I'm fine with adding him. I didn't know if Parker had a strong.
Soon
disposition.
all the web warriors will be in the meta list.
No, I don't think I have a problem with it. It's not like he's not one that I reach for off the shelf every time, but I can see your point.
Okay, is it bold text? He makes the list.
I voted for him, so.
I know you are, right? You suggested it. Exclamation point or period? Tell me now.
No, because he doesn't interact with the scenario.
Okay.
Except
he has impact webbing.
Impact webbing is the only thing.
He can throw with proportionate strength of the spider.
You're right. So he does have two.
Range 3 throw is not nothing.
Size 3 range 3 throw.
You're right. So he interacts with 2 secures. Yeah, he probably counts. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I got one.
3-point Peter. Zach, you're up. Hit me.
I have just one because I know obviously I was involved in this conversation last time.
Hit me.
Medusa. So Medusa has the ability
Hard
to.
pass.
Brandon's gonna fight you so hard on this.
All right, I want to hear Brandon's deep hate for this.
Okay, it's very simple. The only thing she's bringing to the table that's above average is her place. Everything else about her kit is meh compared to our current meta.
You don't like a 5x attack with a push and a flurry and a
no.
We just talked about a size 3 throw from 3.
Put her against every 4-pointer that's come out in the last 2 years. She's worse.
Oh, that's not true. Silver Sable exists.
She is better than. I would 100% put Sable on this list.
Wow, Brandon. All right, if he's got such a deep hatred that Silver Sable is higher than Medusa, then I concede.
She's a character that can only affect people within range 3 of her, and her only defensive ability is you can't reroll against me.
She also has
across
reroll.
the board
She
for
has
a 4-pointer.
She has her own reroll.
People complain about Nova. She has 1 reroll. That doesn't save people. The people complain about Nova being squishy. He is way tougher than her and gets to do his job from way further away. The only thing she's bringing to the table is Royal Decree and Hair Flip. Like, that's what she's bringing to the table. That's what you're paying for. Everything else is stock, right? Flurry's cool, not when it's crit wild. She was really strong before they nerfed her attack. Now she's just okay. She's average offense for a 4-pointer. When you can play Logan, she doesn't do damage.
Fair.
So what you're paying for is the mobility stuff, which is fine. She's in a faction that has Lockjaw, which is not a combat model, so it's a choice you're making, right? But as a 4-pointer, she's not holding up her end. Shang-Chi blows this model out of the fucking water. It's not even close. And so she has a cool kit. I do not think she's worth it. I've never thought she's worth it. Every time somebody puts down Medusa against me, I go, thank God they're not playing an actual good 4-pointer in this broken affiliation.
Did they have a 4-pointer?
Ronan and
Ronan
and her
Maximus.
Well, now they got Maximus.
I think Ronan and her are in about the same category. Medusa's better, but Ronan is taking advantage of 2 really crazy abilities, and she's taking advantage of 1 crazy ability, but she's better outside of that. The rest of her kit is better than the rest of Ronan's kit. But Ronan's doing the attack after death thing and judging everyone, and that's why, it's because judgment is crazy strong and people don't realize it. Okay. Parker, do you have any models to suggest?
Yes. One of them is one of my favorite models just because I think he's one of the most elusive, high output damage dealers, and that is Sexy Strange. I think Strange 2 could be an all-star. He doesn't need anything. He will contribute to a game. I've never seen him not contribute to a game.
I think he does contribute. I don't think he contributes enough.
Oh, I disagree, but
I think the big plays he makes are amazing. Like, the splash plays that Strange makes are absolutely incredible. The problem is most of his turns are not doing that. He doesn't get enough power in his own to do that.
He's one of the biggest, he has a huge ceiling, and when he rerolls all Mystic Pierce, that's just, it's so likely for him to get it. That's why I love him. Is he's so likely to go off. But he's not likely
to kill. He has to double tap to kill.
That's true, but he has place, a huge place.
His average, an upside of his average, I played a lot of Strange 2. Mm-hmm. The upside of his average is 3.5 with Pierce. Like, that's his average. So your most turns, your most attacks, you're going to do 3 damage with a Pierce. That's the good. That's not killing somebody in one hit. It's just not happening. That's why he's so amazing with hammers. When you make that 4 hits with Pierce, you're changing the math. And now you're killing 5-pointers with 2 attacks, not 3-pointers with 2 attacks.
Okay.
And so he has the crazy upside like you're talking about. But in the games where you're like, all right, well, my opponent's just going wide on scenario, and your 5-pointer is spending 4 power and double tapping one guy to daze him, you lose. That's just how the game works.
Okay.
And I hate that about the game, but I don't think he does enough.
Then my other 5-pointer, and I think Spider-Man 2099 is the 5-pointer that I'm suggesting, but he's not out yet.
I would also accept that. Yeah.
But,
Correct.
But I actually think this model is insane. The last one is actually insanely slept on, and he has the biggest Achilles heel is that there are a couple metal models that ruin him. Sentinel Prime Mark IV.
Ooh. You
want to talk about somebody who can just turn power into your dead? He can do it for himself and friendlies, and he cycles power very well. He coordinates with a bunch of different affiliation bonuses. There's so many affiliation bonuses that turn him on, either moving him, replacing him, or cycling power, making his stuff cheaper. I think
so. You're basically spending 3 power to do an 8 dice range 3. And then you can spend up to 3 power to reroll those dice. You basically spend 6 to effectively do an 11 dice beam.
And get all that power back.
But it's a builder is the thing, so
Yep.
It tends to fuel the next one, and he generates 3 power a round, if not a turn. I don't like him. I see your point. I don't think you're wrong. I've seen it work. I don't think it works because he's not proactive enough for his own movement, because he's going to burn like an entire round just getting into position. And it's like, if he is controlling like one section of the board, they just move out of range 3. And it's like, now you're spending an action to move. But unlike Strange, he can still one-shot you.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he could just kill you, and you don't have an answer to that.
For him, it has to be outside range 4, but yeah, because he can just pull you back in.
You can pin yourself on terrain, so he can't pull you directly towards him.
He doesn't have any way of entering.
That's a War Machine thing. Knowing how to get around pulls is a War Machine thing that we have a lot of experience with. He's like, oh, fuck that. I found a barrel. Good luck, buddy. And you're like, no.
Sag.
He's definitely has more balance than...
I vote no, but I understand your argument. I don't think you're dead wrong. I just don't think he's quite there. I think it's good. It's interesting. If he had mobility, I'd be on board. But it's just, I think in the current meta, shit runs away from you. And
I think you said it, Parker. I think if you put him into an affiliate, like storm hopping him, I think he's really he'd be really good there. I think he'd be dangerous there, but you have to bring him specifically in that list.
Right. And if you're taking like Lockjaw or Red Skull or somebody, then you're also paying their points into his cost, and then it becomes not worth it.
No,
I think in the current meta, if you're doing a 5-pointer, they have to be completely self-sufficient.
Sure. Then I only have one 4-pointer. I don't think he makes the list, but he's damn close because his damage ceiling, in my opinion, is the most you can put on a 4-pointer is Apex Predator, Sabretooth. You can't.
You don't know how much I want to put this down on.
You can't. I love this.
I love it.
When I read his stat line and his powers the first time, I was like, you can't do this. Like, you can't put this many things onto a model that kills things. Like, he will literally kill your model 3 times over with his effects. Like,
or 3 of your models 1 time over.
Yes, he is so insane in terms of collateral damage.
So many games. I did it against CJ. Remember when I was like, all right, I'm just going to throw your Crimson Dynamo into your magic. And then they both die. It's like, oh yeah. And then I was like, then I'm going to Savage Predator. I'm going to Bloodthirsty Onslaught into Magic, or into Mephisto. And he has no one to sack to now because I just killed 2 of your people without spending an action. So he's dead now. And then he's going to pounce and attack this other person. And you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, that was under...
Just went straight, he killed 4
Red
people.
Skull 1.
That was under... Yeah, that was my Red Skull 1 game, because he's just killing everybody.
Tearing through.
I know everybody gushes over Logan, and I get it, because Logan does it from standing still, right? He's just standing there. And
the problem with Logan is it's completely self-sufficient. He doesn't need any help. And I think Apex needs power help. But he doesn't have to have it. He's just his best with it.
It helps.
And without it, he's worse. But if you have power gen for him, he's better than Logan, I think.
Yeah.
If you give him power gen, I think he's better than Logan.
He's got more to
He has
do.
like his spender is dumb. He has Laura's spender, only better because it also bleeds, and then 2 ways to deal damage. He moves himself. It's just so dumb. He is so.
It's
silly.
actually worse because it's a place, and so you can't just move away.
Oh, that's true.
And if they die, you don't get it.
Movement would be better. You're right.
Movement would be better. But he has pounce, and so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Fucking pounce on a size 3 model.
Yeah.
You know, Thor.
My favorite is throwing their guy into their other guy and then pouncing into them.
Yeah.
It's like whoever lives is getting pounced.
So I think he could go on the all-star list for super attrition models. I think he can belong there.
I'm actually okay with that.
I'm good with that.
What do you guys think?
Yep.
Okay. We got it. We made one.
Woo!
I've got my last 3 are really fast. Iron Man 1. He's
okay. I was actually going to name that myself and give it to CJ because he mentioned him earlier.
Iron Man 1 big on there.
I've already selected him because I was planning on doing it the whole time. This guy has an unlimited size push at range 4.
Mm-hmm.
He has the best dice boosting in the game. He has good DR. He's got a good stat line. And most importantly, he brings Helios Laser to your team, which in our current Tactics cards environment is a breath of fresh air to have a good card.
My last 2 are sleeper picks because they specifically do something that I think is interesting. The first one is Kraven. Kraven, I think Kraven is to attrition what Gwen is to scenario, because Kraven can just do what Gwen does, which is just stand there and just dump dice at your opponent. But he could also just stay. If you daze him and he wakes up, he'll just spend 6 power at least, just making all your guys easier to kill.
So we talked about him last cast, actually, about adding him to the list.
Yeah.
And the reason I argued strongly against it is he is so much worse when your opponent knows how to play against him.
That's true.
If your opponent has no idea how he works, you feast. But as soon as they understand, just walk out of melee range, and he does fuck all nothing. He's so easy to completely neutralize. And the current meta, that's all people want to do anyway.
Okay. The last one is a model that does. He's insanely self-sufficient, and always does the thing he wants to do. But what he does is very specific, so I don't know if he belongs on the list. Ant-Man.
I knew it was Ant-Man. I knew all the build-up was to Ant-Man. Parker, I love all your
want to add Ant-Man. The problem with Ant-Man is that he can't hold extracts while small.
That's what I'm saying.
And
he does a very specific job.
Outside of that, though.
Yeah, he does a very specific job, but he's one of the most tactically flexible characters in the game.
Did I tell you that Kenny literally shit his pants at the team tournament at Adepticon 2 years ago?
Yeah. When you started to Ant-Man? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, we'll just play X-Force, it'll be fine. And he's like, all right, well, I'm going to take Ant-Man. He's like, why are you taking Ant-Man? Isn't he terrible? I was like, no, he's the best model in the game. Like, no, he's not. Whatever. And we get there, and I put him down in my squad. He's like, are you really putting Ant-Man in your squad? I was like, yeah, we're going to do it. And so he's like, why, though? He's like, I've never played against Ant-Man before. What does he even do? I was like, oh, don't worry, I'll show you. And every time I did anything with Ant-Man, he's like, he does that?
Yeah.
Every single time.
I think he
was like, just let me know if he attacks me.
Like, as soon as you guys get back, he's like, do you have that
Ant-Man.
box? Like, I need that
Instant
box.
bot Ant-Man. Yeah. He's like, I've never seen a model be so fucking pants on head insane. He's like, yeah, once you really know how to play him too, you're like, you just keep putting him on terrain. It's like, oh, I attack you. He's like, disappear behind terrain, shade away. Like, it's so great.
Yeah.
I'll put him on there. I love Ant-Man so much. I think because he's so unique in how he works that it's okay to put him on. Okay. Anything else?
That was my list.
Damn it! I had one that I was gonna say that we should do.
Was it Medusa?
And then I lost it. Oh, Lizard.
Oh.
No.
Because you don't think so?
I don't think so.
I think
he's got hard
he's
crap.
the best in the game at what he does.
I think he's been hard crept by other models.
I think other models do similar stuff to him, and they might do it a bit better in that slot.
Damage reduction and healing factor, I believe he's the only model that has that.
So, kinda. Man-Thing now has...
There's no question he's pushed on defense.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Man-Thing has a similar kit now, too. And Man-Thing might be better with Healing Factor 2 and no crits on attacks. And a better...
Does Man-Thing have a throw?
He has his reel in.
Okay. Alright. If you guys don't think so, that's fine.
I actually, really hot take, I think Deadpool might be better than what Lizard does than Lizard.
Well, I think Deadpool's a better model than Lizard, but there's no question Lizard's harder to kill than Deadpool is.
True, but...
do we still think Dr. Voodoo's good?
God damn it.
I
don't
want Voodoo to be out of the game so bad.
I just don't want to believe he exists.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly where I'm at, too. I just refuse to believe he exists.
He
the whole time I've been saying he shouldn't be able to actionless steal at range 3. It just shouldn't be allowed.
He's a fucking all-star. His goddamn attack suite is dumb. Like,
it is really dumb. Like, this is another one where it's like, technically he got nerfed like Black Cat did, but he might be better now.
Good. I think he's just
like
good.
They did. They nerfed him, like, because what he did before was so much stronger than what he does now, but he does other stuff now, and that's what people are forgetting, and that's what they gave Black Cat. It's like, by giving her more defense, they made her better than she was originally. Because before, it's like, just let her steal it. Fuck her. Like, she can have it. Like, I don't need anything else, but now she's, like, standing in the middle of the board, staggering all your fucking models, and you're like, this is so much worse.
What's that, Hulk? Staggered.
Alright, we'll put Voodoo on there because if you're playing a scenario team, you need to be playing Voodoo. And so that's just true. So we'll do that.
Okay, that's the only other one I kind of felt like we had to mention because I still think he's really strong, unfortunately.
Okay. So we ended up with 27 models, which is 2 more than last time. Just so people, we're going to read through it real quick. Which, considering how many models we tried to add, that's actually surprising. For example, like, I would want to add Strucker because I think he is a unique model that people underestimate. But I don't think he's.
That's almost. There should be a different list though. Is like the unsung heroes.
It'd be fun to go through doing a sleeper list where it's like these are models you really should be playing over models that you do play, but you're not.
I really like that concept because then we can see how far away the sleeper hits are from the actual hits. Because I still think there's not that big of a gap between certain models still.
No, I don't think there's... Because, like, the differences we're talking about are, like, this guy has a push and a throw, and this guy has a throw and a pounce.
Yeah, or, like, the triggers
differences we're talking about.
Hit as opposed to just a wild, right?
Right. Like, the stats are not that important. It's how they work within the game that's the important thing. Like, Zemo's a perfect example. Like, Zemo has a lot of abilities, but, like, he doesn't have damage reduction, which is, in my opinion, one of the best abilities in the entire game. He's got a very average stat line. And so, like, there's stuff he could have that other people have that is better. He could have martial artists. Like, he doesn't. It's that he has exactly the combination of effects that are not okay to have. Like, full rerolls plus long charge. Like, you shouldn't have that. Because it allows you to have all the tempo in an engagement. I get to close the gap and attack you with full bonuses, and you never get a chance to respond.
Yeah, thank God they never added a tactic card that you could use that lets him charge early or heal.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like, the fact that they did that was just like, what were you thinking? They should have just made it new Zemo only. Oh, it was so dumb.
Yeah. Or
anyway, all right. So here's the list. 5 pointers. We only have Namor and Red Skull, which seems wrong. Actually, it seems very wrong. Let me check something real quick.
I tried to say Sentinel Prime, but nobody would agree with me.
I just don't think he's quite there. And the only reason Red Skull's making the list is because he has a grunt, and that grunt is so insane.
Grunt's so good.
He also spends 2 power and might just delete anything. Like, delete a 3.
But he could do that,
hit on
and then
blanks.
He's got a little body behind him that's still scoring points as he's going out and killing shit. That no one else does that.
He has a 3-pointer, and a 4-pointer. Like,
he's like, I view him as a 4 and a 2. Yeah, it's like a 4 and a 2 together. But the 4 has all the offense.
And the 2 is still have offense.
Yeah.
But they if the only other person that can score like that technically is Shadow King, and you're just trying to jump through too many hoops. You can only do it for a turn. So
I think the only other 5-pointer that I would want to put on here is either MODOK, ASM, or Juggernaut, and all of them have an obvious weakness. Juggernaut has low damage potential. MODOK has low mobility, and ASM has no ability to affect scenario. So
Yeah, I think
all three of them have pretty glaring weakness.
I think as odd as it might sound, if you were going with like an all stars, all round, like models that, all the 5s tend to have one more, like they're doing a specific job. Like, you don't have Namor and Red Skull do something very different than a lot of the rest of the 5s.
I think you absolutely have the ability to put on Spider-Man 2089, but he's not out yet.
Yeah, well, it's the same problem with him. He can't really affect scenario. However, he can fight you all goddamn day, and I don't think there's really anything you can do to stop him.
Yeah.
Okay. So the list is Namor and Red Skull for 5s. 4-pointers are Black Panther 1, Shang-Chi, Logan, Beta Ray Bill, Spider-Woman, Psylocke, Nightcrawler. 3-pointers are Zemo, Deadpool, Black Cat, Captain Sam, Spider-Man Miles, Ghost Spider, X-23, and Shuri. And then we have added, oh god, I hadn't sorted these yet. We added Apex Predator, Voodoo, Spectacular Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Ant-Man to the list. And then our honorable mentions for 2-pointers were Bullseye, Toad, Wong, Rocket, and Bob. All have, I think, reasons to make your list. More importantly, if you're caring less about being affiliated and more about being as efficient as possible, I think you should be way more willing to put multiple 2s in your list. Because going wide in the current meta seems very strong. And showing up with 4 2s, I don't think would be a bad thing. Because, fuck if you're affiliated. If you have the models you need, it doesn't matter.
If you're bringing...
And that's kind of why I touched...
Yes, if you're bringing your core, I think running 2 of the 2s is fine.
Yeah. What Parker was kind of talking about last week, what I had mentioned, is how often has it been your plan was always to run Cyclops in X-Men, for example. And in this particular matchup, it's maybe they have a bunch of, they're playing criminals with Shadow Organization, or they have 3 base stealth models and Captain Marvel, who's got energy absorb anyway. And so you're well, it's not really worth it for me to have this 4-pointer. It's really not going to do anything. And my leadership's going to be heavily knocked down because we're playing a spread out scenario. And it's just so why are you taking him? Take Nightcrawler or somebody else Logan, who would fix this for you instead of taking this albatross of a leader that you didn't actually need. So just thinking about the outside the box of being willing to be flexible at the mission and, list selection stage. Okay, so we're going to have to do the list next time, obviously, because we're already way over on time because you guys like to chat about models. Bunch of losers. Nerds.
I don't know. I think I'm a pretty well-rounded individual.
Disagree. Is there anything that you guys disagree with what we said? You think we did wrong? Pretty happy with how the list came out?
I think all the models on here are good. Some of them are the best of the best in their category. For sure. I think we've got a pretty good list. I think we've nailed down. I don't think there's anyone missing from this list. And I think we talked about it right. I think 2s. I think 2s are the most weirdly flexible slot you can take, just because how the 2-point works in the game. It's basically pick your favorite flavors and stuff. They all do something pretty good. I think the only one that's kind of harder to use would be Okoye, and even then, she's basically a 2-point health bonus for another character you want to keep alive. So not the best.
Yeah, for me, the reason that you play Okoye is so that you can bodyguard the steal. And so when they come in to take your extracts, you have the bodyguard, which means that they can't even make the play, right? Because it'd be idiotic to move up, stand point blank in front of you, and just to get hit into a bodyguard. And so it's so brutal to have that, and nobody does that. And it really surprises me. And then, exactly, Voodoo gets around it, which is the really dumb part. Because he doesn't fucking have to attack you.
You say nobody does that. Technically, that strategy also helped win Adepticon. So maybe we start seeing a little bit more of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool beans.
Cool. All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed our podcast. Next week, we'll probably start building lists with this pool of characters. So we'll probably do some homework on that for next time. Hopefully you guys had fun. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Zach.
And CJ.
And you've just listened to Medusa Sucks.
Medusa Sucks.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay.
incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down Infamous.